Hello everybody, this is Feehan again from the ECG Armory. We're trying to do a couple of different videos for the next 3 segments. I've already recorded 2 videos, one of doing the front lower pieces and one of doing the top pieces, including the chest and the back plate and the front and the back kidney plate and butt plate. Those videos, unfortunately, during the filming, one of the cameras, the upper camera, fell down. So there's only going to be one angle for most of those videos. So there's going to be an episode 6 with just the lower part of the front and the back. There'll be an episode 7 with the upper part, the chest and the back. Next time we can start looking at, I'll show you the other 2 pieces. The last 2 major trimming pieces we have to tackle is the back plate and the front plate. These don't really have much of a return edge, but we do want to make a slight one all the way around the entire thing. And this one's kind of the show piece, so you want to make sure you do this one correctly. I'm going to clean up the area a little bit before I get started on these. Make sure we have a clean surface we're working on. And we have a clean surface to work on now, so that we don't get any scratches, minute scratches on the armor as we're doing it. We try to keep it as clean as possible. When I do the gluing, I actually put down a towel so that as I'm working with it and letting it sit, it's sitting on a towel. It's not getting any scratches. I think that's very important, just to keep it as good as possible. Now this, I'm not happy about this at all. Usually I like to leave a little bit of a return edge. There's not much here, so I'm going to have to cut right along that ridge. And again, just like what we did on the front abdomen plate and the back butt and kidney plate, I'm going to just make a rough 3/8 of an inch cut around the entire way. Here you don't have much of a return edge at all, just a little curve. But around here, around the bottom, you like to leave a nice beefy 3/8 of an inch return edge. Again, it makes the armor look thicker, it makes it look a little more sturdy, and it keeps this rigid, and it keeps it from cracking in the corners and along some of the ridges that you don't want it to crack. Up here I do cut it really close because that's where you put on the shoulder straps, and we'll get to that in a later video. I have the shoulder straps, I only have them cut in half, but we have to do some more trimming on those, and we have to curve them, and I have a heat gun. I'm going to try to curve them. I've never had to do that before because most of the time I've gotten it with the shoulder straps already pre-curved, so that'll be a first for me. So we'll try that together and see how that goes. Okay, for this I'm going to quickly make my pencil line around the parts that I'm going to try to maintain that 3/8 of an inch. I do it by eye because by now I pretty much know exactly what that thickness is, approximately. That's way too big there. Hold on. There we go. And along the bottom edge. Now thankfully we've done that experiment with the Dremel, because I was thinking I could just use the Dremel and just go zoop, zoop, zoop and just cut this right out. We learned from doing that thermal detonator plate that's probably not the best idea. We will, however, use the Dremel a little bit for the helmet. I do have some things I use that for the helmet cutting. To do the eyes and the teeth, I use the Dremel, just the drill bit tool, to get those started, and then I use a X-Acto and just the scissors to cut out the rest. The helmet's tricky though, and we'll get to that. We might do a separate video just with the helmet, because the helmet can be very, very tricky. Okay, now again, I'm going to try to keep this secure as I make these cuts, and then I'll go back over it with the make smaller cuts to then crack off the different pieces. This one I think I'll do mostly with the X-Acto, but there might be a couple of curvy areas that I might use the scissors in to take care of some of the corners. I might use the scissors. And for this corner here, I'm going to use the scissors right here to cut this off. And this corner here I'm going to cut off. It just gets in my way. Okay. Actually, for this I think I'm going to use the scissors, because this is so close I'm not going to have a lot to cut and for here as well. So let me get that started. The straight scissors. Get this out of the way. See if I can cut this straight across and just get started with this. And I'm going to come right out with sandpaper. Let me go right here. This is straight across, I could just cut this right off. Right along that ridge. I'm going to use the curved scissors for the rest to do that curve. Again, I've seen armor that has more of a return edge, and I can show you my TK armor. Not crazy about this not having a great return edge, but it is what it is. So I'm going to cut it and leave as much as I can without it curving back up again. See if we can do this the whole way around. Save me a lot of time. Okay, that came out pretty good. Let me use the angled thing here. I got a little bit of return edge there, not much of, not really what I wanted, but as much as I can get out of this. Around these corners. Let me around this other corner, and then we'll get started with the exact top. I'm going to try to keep this stable as I cut. last cut was terrible. I'm going to have to go over that with that last cut was very jagged, and I think it's because my blade's got a nick in it. I'm going to have to replace this blade right now. Over here, get a new one. Make sure you have a lot of these handy because you do nick them, and if the point is gone, then you might make a mistake, which I just did. But it's not something I can't correct here. Luckily, let's see. Is that in good? That's in good. Okay, let's go back over this with the scissor and just see where I made that little boo-boo. A little jagged on the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it with the scissor and try to meet that line, and then crack off the rest. Okay, and the rest of this, if I cut it here, I should be able to crack it. So let's try that. Cut that here. Cut this about here. Try to crack this off. Crack this off. Crack this piece off. Very good. So it's a nice edge. A little jaggedy down here. I'll get rid of that as I cut this off. Now this one last corner, I want to try to just follow that line around. So I'm going to hit that curve, and then I'm just going to follow the line around. This one I'll probably have to go back over with the scissors, because it has that little extra piece there. Let's see. Not bad. I ran that off with the scissors. And I think I'm just going to cut this off with the scissors, because this is, I don't want that dimple in there, because it's facing the wrong way. That's much nicer. I think I got to go even closer. See, I still see a little dimple there, and I don't want that. Okay, that's much nicer. And now I'll start on this one here. Let me just get this started. And I'm going to try to do the exacto the whole way around, which is going to be tough, but I'll give it a shot. Now that I got the new exacto blade here, let me make sure I get this stable on the desk and start from the back here. Trying to get the best angle to get it all the way around. I'm using a lot of pressure as I'm doing this, just so I make sure I get it deep enough. I went off a little for my line. Let me go here. This is way too thick on the bottom here, so I'm going to stop there before I scratch anything. So let me start off with the scissors and just get that started at the position I want it to be. I started getting a little too thick at the end there. Let me start this with the scissors and then cut it off with the, break it off as I go. So let's go from here, make a line. Again, these are my break lines so I can snap it. I'm going to do one right in the middle. Again, I'm not too concerned there. I did that little stress line, which I didn't want to do. Hopefully that won't be too noticeable. Let's see if we can crack these off here. That one. Got that one. That one. Got that one. This is the one I'm not happy about. This one was pretty even the whole way. This one I got a little bumpy near the end, but now that I got it off, I could get the scissors in here and just trim that down a little. Not bad. I'm not happy about this little stress line. I'm going to just cover that up a little here and see if I can mark that as well, so I know I got to go back to that. Okay, so that's a nice edge there. Again, I'm not happy about that. I got to trim a little more off here. This is still a little too thick in this one spot. I think the sandpaper will take care of anything else here. A nice edge there. Nice return edge the whole way around, nice and even. A couple little variations, but nothing too extraordinary. Let me get this corner here. This is a mess here. Make sure that's rounded for when we do our final sanding. And let's continue on with this side and see if we can get it to match this side as much as possible. Making a straight line here. Again, I'm trying to keep this as stable as possible as I'm making my cut here. Dude, this I'm gonna have. This is tough here for this angle. Let me see if I can get a better angle on this. Okay, let's go back over that. See if we can crack some of these pieces off. This one should be able to crack right off. Just got to make it meet with this. So let me cut this to meet with a nice rounded edge here. There we go. Make a little rounded edge here. Go back over that with sandpaper, make that nice and smooth. Okay, I'll try to crack this down the middle here. This seems a little close in this spot, but I'm going to have to live with it. I don't know if I'll track a little bit. Maybe a little close, but it's good. So it's enough. It's within the range. Okay, we're going to snip it here. Let's see if we can get this piece off. Let's crack this last piece off, and then we'll see. Yeah, it's very uneven here. I'm going to have to try to meet this up somehow. Let me see if I can trim this a little more from this angle. Maybe have it meet in the middle. I have to do a little carving here to do that because I'm not going to be able to get in here with the scissors. Try to trim this down a little and see if we can make that look nice, and then we'll trim off this edge and this edge with the straight scissors. Little curve here. Make sure we got all the edges here. Use my curved scissors here again to just curve that over a little. Don't want any sharp edges. And curve this last curve right here so it transitions into the return edge. A little bit of a curve. Let's see. I already got one over here. Okay, so let's start going over with the sandpaper. I got this pretty even now, except one spot it's a little thin, but shouldn't be that noticeable. I made more of a transition going through it, so it kind of looks natural. And that bottom we already did, and it's already pretty nice. So I think we're going to just move on to the other side and just make sure it's all good all around. Okay, that's got a nice lip all the way around there, all the way around on the sides. On this side, again, I'm trying to make sure that the edges are smooth. This looks like a little too large. Shoot, this is a little too large. I'm going to have to cut that a little. Hold on. That's a little too much. I see my line, which is why I draw that line. And we're off the line by a good 1/8 of an inch. So let me just trim this back a little bit in comparison to the other side. See, this is a good amount here. I got to take off here. Sorry about that, but I got to get it right. And then we'll resand that one spot. Yeah, when you see that even visually, you can just quickly take it off. Again, I like to be more conservative. If I have to take it off, I'll take it off, but I don't want to take off too much. And then be left with a mistake. That looks much better. I don't know if you can see that there. That looks much better and more matches the other side. The other side could use a little more evening out here. Okay, so that neck is going to be really nice and smooth. These sides are nice and smooth. This is a very nice transition to where the shoulder straps are going to be. And that's also a very nice transition to the shoulder straps. So that'll be very nice. Now this will be connected with shoulder straps to the back, and we'll get started on the back and see if we can finish that up today. Okay, this is the same thing. There's a very little return edge here. There's going to be a little return edge on the sides. Not much of any, and a little bit of a 3/8 of an inch on the bottom here. Let's see if we can do this with the X-Acto. Get my pencil and just make a pencil line. Really, the only place I need to make a pencil line is on the bottom here. The rest of it, I'm going to just follow the guidelines that are already in the plastic. Again, that's just by eye, but it's pretty accurate to 3/8 of an inch. The only spot I don't see it is here, so I'm going to make this meet with where the plastic curves, and then I should be able to follow the curve the rest of the way. Same thing on this side. Follow that up, and then the curve around, and then the whole way up. This I'm going to go a little into that. That's too big. A little in. Try to follow that as best as I can. Let's see if we can find a starting point. Try to keep this stable on the table as best as we can, because I do use a little bit of pressure as I'm pressing on the X-Acto. make a break point in the middle. One over in the corner here. And one over in this corner here. Let's see if we can crack those off. Looks pretty good with what we had. I'm going to have to trim off a little with the scissors. It's a little beefy there and a little beefy there, so I might have to take off a little with the scissors. But again, once you get it off, it's easier to get in there with the scissors and take a little more off if you need to. And I can use the razor blade to smooth that out a little. I'm not happy about this at all. It really came out uneven. I'm just going to try to carve it to the basic shape I want with the utility knife here. Because this edge didn't match the other side exactly. Let me see if I can get that down a little more. Okay, that looks much better. Again, I'm just rubbing the edge of the knife here. Take off any inconsistencies here. Okay, that looks good. When that's sanded, that'll look really good. And have a little bit of a return edge. I'm going to snip off the tops with the straight scissors. Leaving a little bit, teeny bit of a lip, but not much. Same thing on this side. A little bit of a lip, not much there. And then we'll continue on with the big cut, and this is going to be the tough one. To get that curve all the way down, and then the straight line, and then this bottom return edge. This is going to be tough. I'm going to go straight down. Do this last straight line here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Pretty good. And then I'm going to do the bottom here. Going to meet up with that cut. And again, this is tough when you're doing such a long run here and trying to do it straight and even. With the X-Acto, but I'm going to give it a shot. Following my pencil line as best I can while applying pressure. trying not to scratch the plastic as I'm doing it. Here we go. Staying in this track. Let me get back in the track. And now we're going to do the straight line. And round it around the corner and do straight up. And we're going to try to meet up with the mold of the plastic here and do this last curve. This is going to be tough. So we did the cut all the way around. I'm going to start making those break points where I think there's a good curve. Try to avoid stress marks in the black plastic. Where I see like a curve starting, I'll try to make these lines. I either do it like this or with the scissors, but I'm just going to do it like this for now. I'm going to actually use the utility knife because I don't want to break that blade. Okay, let's start going over with the pliers, see how many pieces we can break off. I think we're going to do pretty good. I was able to keep a good pressure throughout the cut, so I think we're going to be in good shape. Didn't break all the way through the cut that I made, so I'm going to just snip this with the scissor. And then we should be able to crack that off. Let's see. Nice. A little unevenness down there I'm going to have to clean up. Oh, that's going to cause a stress mark, so I'm going to cut this here with the scissor along that line I made just to make it easier to break off here. There we go. Again, see I'm getting those stress marks. I don't want that. I'm going to have to cut this with the scissor at the line I made here with the razor blade just to make it easier to crack it off. Couple of rough spots I'm going to have to go back over. And not bad, not bad. We managed to get through almost the entire thing in one cut. Some rough spots here I'm going to go over with the scissors. This corner, I want to make that rounded. Even it off a little bit. I see a little spot here that's uneven. I'm going to go over that with the scissors in the opposite direction. Smooth that out. Okay, and then here we got to smooth this little corner out. Here we'll smooth it out. This little corner here, it's just a little corner here by the shoulder strap. I want to round that off. There I want to round off. Here I want to round off. And here. So all those corners, I want to round them off a little bit just so there's no jagged edges that might catch your undersuit or anything when you're putting on the costume. And there's a little extra trim here. I'm going to just try to trim off here. Okay, I'm going to go over this with the razor blade edge just to see if there's any plastic pieces I should shave off first, just for shaving it. You see those little squirrely things. It does make it rougher initially, but it does help when you're sandpapering. It helps make sure the surface is level the whole way down. Here we get a little roughness here. I'm gonna let's go down this side. That one's already pretty good. And we'll go down the last side here. The last curve. See the little curly things, we can get rid of all that, and we'll start doing some sandpapering. And I think we'll be in good shape to get started on the major assembly next time. The next step basically is the major assembly, which is putting the cover strips on the arms and the legs as we assemble them. Actually, I'm going to use a different sponge. This sponge has had it. That's putting the cover strips on the arms and legs, and the shins and the thighs and the biceps and the forearms. That assembly can take some time. It might be multi-steps, because what I like to do is do the front ones on everything, glue it with the E6000 glue, let it dry for like 2 days, and then go back and do the final trimming on the backs of them, and then do the final assembly and do and close the backs, except for the shins, which get the Velcro. Okay, that's coming out really good. This is really well. This came out really smooth. Just a couple of spots I had to trim down a little. I especially want to get the corners, because again, the corners, you don't want to get stuck on something and rip your undersuit or do something stupid. You want to make it nice and smooth. We're going to do that final sanding too on the forearms and the legs after we put the cover strips on, because the cover strips themselves are going to have little pieces that might interfere, and we have to make sure those are sanded well. I think I have a little too much of a return edge. I'm going to look that up and make sure on the back plate. I got to check how much the return edge is supposed to be on the sides. I'm not exactly sure. Again, I left it, so if I have to take it off, I'll take it off. But I think 3/8 of an inch is acceptable, and I think this is in that range. Let me check my ruler. And it's exactly 3/8 of an inch, so I think that's the maximum you're allowed. in that corner. You can see a lot of material. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's a lot of material coming off as I do this. This is a medium grit 3M sponge. It takes off a good amount. So any little inconsistencies, little burrs, little anything will come right off when you do it. And you sand it appropriately at the end. And it leaves a nice edge there, so it doesn't get in your way. And I'm doing the corner here, a little extra tension on the corners. Do this corner. I think that's really nice all the way around. Just feeling with my hand, making sure there's no other spots that are sharp or might catch on something. Ooh, this is a little rough. Let me just go over that a little more. That's better. And that'll pretty much get anything. I like how the sponge forms to the piece and then tries to get it just the way you want it. Now you'll notice there are some scratches, some little things. I tried to be as careful as possible not to do on this edge. We have this Novus polish that we'll get into at the final step. This will take out most little nicks and scratches, and it's so overpoweringly shiny that any of that stuff just kind of blends away and you don't even see it. So that'll be the final step when we're ready to do the final assembly. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have now. These use sponges over here. Get my tools out of the way. Okay, so that's our back piece and our front piece. Looking very good, nice and trim now. And then we'll get started on the other pieces that we have to do. The actual assembly and the belt boxes, which are pretty easy. I mean, basically you just cut these out around the edge. I might even do these and do it as a fast forward video, because basically you just cut them around the edges. You make the smaller box a little more thin than the bigger box, because these fit into these boxes and get glued in, so that these are the bigger ones, these are smaller ones, and these fit over those. So you'll be able to tell pretty much by looking at them which ones are the bigger ones. We can show you by measurements. This one's 5 inches. The one here is 4.5. This one's 5. This one's about 4.5. So these are the outer ones. These are the inner ones. You just cut them out. Just to make my life a little easier, I'm just going to quickly cut these into 4s. And I can go from there and do each one of them as I go. So this is not a big deal. I won't even go into this too much. Again, I might do it and just leave it as a fast forward video at the end of this video, just to show you, because I think this video is going to run kind of long because we did the fronts and the backs. What I may do is split it up into 2 parts, like a part A and part B, so that we're doing the fronts and the backs separately, and then go through anything else that we have. Well, thanks everybody for joining us this week, and hopefully we'll see more of this, and you'll see my journey through my Shadow Trooper armor here on the ECG Armory. Thanks, everybody.